So today we're going to have to work out this wheel, how we're going to get this up there. And remember, it gets mounted on our bracket like that, and then this bracket has some bearings on it and gets mounted up here with our wheel on. So we're going to need to make something to house these two bearings up there. And with that in mind, I've got a piece of I-beam that I'm going to use to put this up there to get the height right. But we're going to have to measure it all and get it all sorted. And hopefully we're one step closer. Yeehaw! Right-yo then, time to do a little bit of calculations, a bit of maths. So here's where our wheel is on these pillow bearings, and these two will be mounted on that nice strong plate we're going to stick up there. Now, from the middle of that to the bottom of this is 30 mil. But when we come round the other side with the bit that's offset, and that's going to mount to the actual hammer itself, is 50 mil off centre. So from the centre of the wheel to the centre of that shaft is 50 mil, and then from the centre of that shaft to there is 50 mil. So therefore this is 100 mil off centre. And that being 100 mil and this being 30 mil means there's a 70 mil difference. So whatever I mount this to hold and support the wheel, the hammer section will be 70 millimeters lower down, which makes it fairly easy now for me to work out where to actually put that big boy here up there, cut it and fiddle about with it to make it all work. Okie dokie. Well, I've been thinking about it for a little bit, and I've actually decided that the distance of the hammer from the frame as the hammer goes up and down was only 250 mil. And even though you would put your die on an angle so you could miss the back post with your piece of metal, I thought 250 was too small. So I decided to increase the 250 to make it 400, which will give me a lot of space from the hammer to the framework for the hammer. The main problem that I was having with this wheel section was with the whole hammer standing upright. It was really hard to get the wheel up there and to hold it there and try and get some measurements. So that's why I laid the whole hammer down, and while I was at it, I thought I'd just add the extra I-beams there to give it a proper mock-up. So the main problem was I didn't know how far I had to make the I-beam from the wheel to the back of the frame, because I couldn't get an accurate measurement from this pillow bearing to that pillow bearing on the other side to know how far the wheel needed to move backwards or forwards to clear this back plate or to be spacious from the back plate. I didn't want it to be any wider here. The wheel needs to be as close to that as possible so I don't have a long shaft on the hammer. I'd like the shaft as short as possible, so the wheel needs to be as close as that as possible. Now, because of the 70 mil offset that we've already spoke about, that then is the height now of where this pillow bearing will go. So now with this mocked up section, I know that height of what that needs to be and how much further than the current frame I need to go up to be able to mount the pillow bearings on there to get this wheel to be in a precise position to make this whole hammer actually work pretty good. So yeah, it was just really difficult to try and jiggle all that with the whole machine standing upright. Hence, that's why I did this. Here we go. After all today's efforts, I've now extended it out to the 400 mil. That, you can just see that, it's just so much better. Now I could easily imagine you know, round here, lots of room. This doesn't, you know, I don't know why I did it so small in the first place. I guess I thought because it was a diagonal it wouldn't really matter, but it actually does. That looks far more the part now, and I'm glad I did it. Seems like one step forward, two steps back, but the circle's down, welded on. Run some nice long welds all the way down there, same on the other side, and some long welds to the bottom. So I've only got a little bit of space, so this is rock solid. Now I've got my measurements for the wheel up there, so we're all sorted there, so full steam ahead. Well, welcome back. We're back to another day with our great old power hammer. So I've just measured the distance between there and the centre, and it is 420 mil. Thought it was going to be 400, but it's 420. So lucky I did my mock-up. But anyway, down here I have our actual hammer mechanism. And this here, the distance between here and here needs to be an extra 160 mil to get this centre of the hammer down there spot on. And for that I'm going to use this smaller railroad beam. Cut it into two 160 mil long sections and weld one there and weld one there and weld that whole lot up here. Then it's going to start looking more and more like a machine. Let's get to it. Well, we've now cut our two little bits of railway line, eeny weeny bits, mounting this onto there, and for once on a bench. Not a proper bench, but a bench nonetheless. So anyway, we're going to weld these on. We'll just tack them on, and it's going to be really good. Should have got me gloves, but I'm only going to tack just this smidgy bit first. That'll stop them from moving. Do the other side, and then run some good welds to make it nice and strong. Well, look at this. This is looking really smart, isn't it? Hey? We've welded in just there now, and that's all good. This is all sitting as a nice structure. So what I'm going to do though is lie it down so I can get the welds under there, because looking under there and trying to weld upside down, if you've ever tried it, is really hard. But the hammer's set up here just for a nice sort of section. So as soon as we lay this down and get the welds up, then we're looking at the wheel up here, which will be really good. And then down there we've got to have the base, because at the moment it's a bit like a totem pole. I could just give it a bit of an elbow and it would fall over and make a real mess of whatever it fell into. But yeah, so by the time I've got some nice big feet on the bottom to keep it nice and stable, and when we get this painted, a nice colour, sand it back, get a bit of paint on there, and then put the wheel up there, and the engine, and the belts, and some rods, and a bit more bling, it'll really start to look good. But at the minute, it's looking a bit bungy, a bit rusty old scrappy thing. But I can see beyond the rusty scrappy. Grey, shiny. No, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to seeing it coming along. Let's carry on with it, eh? Oh, grey, hammer tone. That looks a lot better than old rusty boy, without even any coloured bits to start to make him, I don't know, sing like, bing like, good. But yeah, looking good. I've run out of paint. Needs another complete coat. But hey, now it looks like a machine. And the good thing about this Hematone paint is, because it's old and rusted material, the Hematone paint sort of disguises it and makes it look a lot better than it actually is. But for a homemade power hammer, and I'm going to put it outside as well, more than good enough, I reckon. Easy. I couldn't resist. I had to put the hammer on just to see how we looked with the hammer, But I tell you what, I'm getting tired of lifting this up and down because it's really, really awkward to lift because this all moves. So you haven't really got much to grab on. So yeah, up and down with this, but I had to have a look. So yeah, up there, really awkward spot, just a little bit higher than you can sort of get. That doesn't matter. Let's now look in the business. And when my wheel comes here, and my wheel gets up there, that's going to look, whoops, pretty good, I reckon. Can't see, but I reckon that's looking pretty good. All right, whoa, that's enough of that.